Welcome to Pop Culture Retro, which was recently voted the 15th best podcast by the residents of Golden Years Retirement Community in Boca Raton, Florida. Each show will revisit some of your favorite pop culture memories with insider and outsider perspectives. Now, please help me welcome your hosts, Moosie Drier and Jonathan Rosen.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Pop Culture Retro. I'm Jonathan Rosen, along with Moosie Drier, and today we are thrilled to welcome a sports icon. He's probably the most famous mascot of all time. He's performed in all 50 states and many countries, as well as over 900 different venues. He was also one of the stars of the fun Saturday morning series, The Baseball Bunch. Please help us welcome the famous San Diego Chicken, Ted Giannoulas. Ted, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure, fellas. I'm happy to be here. Thank you. I'm honored.
No, we're honored.
We are. It's our honor.
Yes. Well, we have a lot to cover, but I want to start by going back with you. Your parents were originally from Greece and moved to Canada where you were born. Can you talk about your family life a little and what prompted that move for them to go to Canada?
Oh, sure. It was after World War II, and my parents simply were curious about a better life. Mm-hmm. And so they came in over on the boat from Athens to Canada. And first, my dad came, and then when he settled in, he had a few friends in London, Ontario. And when he settled in, then he called for my mom to come over, and she came over separately. And then, like I say, settled in London, and I was born about a few years later in 53. And we lived there till about 1969. And then once again, my dad, being adventurous in his outlook of things, came to San Diego to visit some godparents of mine, and so he loved it so much. Went back and he said, "We're gonna apply and move to the United States." And we were accepted a few years later.
Wow! And
then came down here, and I've lived ever since.
Excellent. Well, then maybe could you perhaps clear up the age-old question then, now that we're talking about your relatives? So your ancestors or the egg, which came?
Oh, that's a hen house secret. I can't tell you that, or I'll be henpacked. So yeah.
All right. Okay, that's fine.
It shall remain.
That's fine. So then I'll move on to so when you were a child, were you a little performer, like in school, in your living room, in your household, or did you always love to perform?
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting. I around the house growing up, I would always kind of like tell jokes to my sisters. But when I got into elementary school, believe it or not, I started producing school plays for the entire assembly, comedic plays, and in classes, I would give speeches for the class and do some comedy shows, in the class itself. And it carried this way. In high school, I didn't do so much of that. I never was a class clown there, but I always sat next to him and always enjoyed it. And so, I guess that performance bug was in me even at an early age.
You took notes of the class clown and you applied it to your...
Of course. And I enjoyed it, and so did the whole class. And even our teachers loved our class clown because he'd have some zingers, and we had a few of them.
Yeah.
But it was quite inspirational. And I got to admit, it was fun going to school as a result.
You're very athletic. I mean, you see it in your routines. Did you play ball as a kid too, or no?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I played all kinds of sports. Growing up in Canada, of course, everybody plays hockey, and I played there. And then during the summer months, I would play baseball. I would literally recruit neighborhood kids to play other neighborhoods. So I had a baseball team, and so we would play, like I say, other neighborhoods, and that was pretty amateurish. But we'd find a park or a field and set it up and play off against each other. So I was pretty motivated back then to do a lot of things hands-on.
Then you ended up operating a scoreboard in a minor league stadium. What was that like? And who was your team growing up?
Yes, yes. Growing up in London, the London Pontiacs, that was a semi-pro team. And whenever I could, I would get down to the ballpark, Labatt's Ballpark, which is the oldest ballpark in the world, believe it or
Really?
not. Yes.
Wow.
And yes, to this day. And I would operate the scoreboard. It was like a Wrigley Field scoreboard. And I would do it for 25 cents a night. And a lot of other kids wanted to do it too. So it was almost a race as to who would get there first for the game, and then the owner of the team would select somebody. And I got to do it quite a few times, and it was
Oh, that's awesome.
enjoyable for me.
You were a journalism major at San Diego State University, which is where the chicken story started with KGB radio. And how did that all happen? How come not an Aztec? That's their
Yeah,
mascot.
I never was a mascot in high school or in elementary school or anything of the such. But when I was in college, it was just by happenstance. The day before Easter break, back in 1974, I'm hanging around the campus radio station, a student-run radio station, and in walks a former alumni from the station who worked at a real rock and roll station, KGB. And he stood right there in the doorway, and there were only 4 or 5 of us hanging around that day in the lobby. And he asks us right there on the spot, cold turkey, no pun intended. He just asked us, hey, anybody want to come to work for KGB for about the next 10 days? We're doing a special promotion and we need to hire somebody. Well, we all went nuts. We all raised our hands, say, yeah, of course. And he cautioned everybody, wait a minute, it's only $2 an hour and there's no guarantee for more employment after this. And we didn't care. Empty trash cans, shine records, sweep the parking lot, didn't matter to us. We wanted to get our foot in the door at a real radio station. So he's got these 5 eager faces before him. So he looks around the room, he points to me in the far corner, and he says, hey, you, the short guy, I think you can fit a chicken suit that we're going to have for you. Ah, a chicken suit, yes. And so I got to dress up in a chicken suit to go to the zoo and give away candy Easter eggs to all the patrons coming in. And so that's how it started. But then after that 10-day stint at the zoo, I just figured I wish there was a way I could stay on and continue my employment here, albeit it's part-time, albeit it's $2 minimum wage. But, I wanted to stay there and be a part of everything. And so I volunteered to go to a Padre game. It was opening night. And so I went down and bought my ticket. They let me in and I started cavorting around in the grandstands. It was unprecedented for its time, you guys. It was unheard of.
Right.
But it created a lot of fun for the fans. The media noticed it and the station executives went nuts. They said, this is crazy. And of course, what I was doing was advertising their call letters on my chest, KGB. So I was like a walk around billboard. And it just kind of took off from there because I try to do comedic things in the aisles and in the seats for the fans to attract attention. And it was really something to hear thousands of people laughing in a stadium event, between innings or between pitches. And like I say, I was just improvising up and down the aisles here and there.
Right.
And bless San Diego fans, they laughed and at all the right places.
Yeah.
And they really kind of carried the whole spirit of what I was doing.
One of the things I've read that you mentioned, and this is fascinating to me, how putting the costume on changed your persona a little, and because it allows you to become someone else. So what were you feeling the first time you got to perform in it? What did it do for you?
Well, there's really something. I've got to say that it had a whole different dynamic in my personality because I kind of dissolved Ted and became an alter ego, so to speak. And fans were very accepting of it. That's the thing. because you put yourself in a costume, you put yourself in a vulnerable situation, and you want to goof with people. So it's a license to goof with everybody, and people accepted that. And so, provided that you were funny and people were enjoying what you were doing, it just carried itself. And so it, kind of like I've got to say, brought an inner spirit or an inner child out of me,
Sure.
and took that sense of humor and continued to carry it. There's an old adage: don't laugh; it only encourages him. Yeah, that is absolutely true.
So,
And that's what happened with me. The more people laughed, the more it inspired me to try other things. And the fans of San Diego were quite accepting. And again, I was representing the radio station as their ambassador at large. And a funny thing happened, you guys. The radio station's ratings, KGB, we were a last place rock and roll radio station at the time. But a funny thing happened. Those ratings started growing under the era of the chicken, and they continue to grow. And we went from worst to first in literally a matter of 18 months.
so when you started proving popular like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, did the radio station offer to like raise your salary at all, or just ignored it?
Nope, believe it or not, they did not. I was still going to college by day and playing chicken by night. And of course, performing on the weekends wherever I could. But yeah, you know what? As I look back, they never ever offered
Wow.
me a raise for several years. The only raise I really got was when I would get incremental raises from the minimum wage laws, of the United States or California, and so it'd be I'd go from $2 to $2.50, and then eventually $3. But they never offered me one until I went in and asked for one. I think about in my fourth year, and
Wow.
I got a $1 raise, and then
Oh my gosh.
but what really put me on the map, of course, was in about late 1978 when Ted Turner of the
Oh,
Atlanta
we were going to ask
Braves.
about that for sure. Yes, we're going to talk about Ted.
Yeah.
But before we get to Ted Turner, so how did the Padres, as soon as you started going, did they start asking you back on a regular basis?
Oh, they loved it. Oh, absolutely. And back then, I didn't have to buy a ticket anymore. After a few weeks, the Padres said, "No, just come in, and we'll give you a pass. You can enter, through the players' gate." And so, they loved it because Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, he was the new owner of the Padres in '74, and the Padres were a pretty miserable team before he took it over. And he just wanted to generate all kinds of excitement. And to him, to hear the fans laugh, those were his customers. And the Padres loved it that even though we were a last place team, fans were leaving happy. And they could only put their finger on the fact that, hey, we got this chicken guy goofing off in the grandstands, and he's making people feel good and laughing, and that counts for something. And so eventually, as the weeks went into months and they went into years, the Padres front office invited me to start jumping on the field to do things during the inning breaks. And that's where it really started taking off because it kind of expanded my stage, so to speak.
Now, did you ever hear anything about, now this might be rumor, but Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's owning the Padres, there was a McNugget shortage and they were interested in having you around for, did it make you nervous or no?
No, a little bit, but the way I look at it, I was just skin and bones, so there's no
Yeah,
meat on
okay.
me. Just
So,
a little side story on the McNuggets. Believe it or
please.
not, I was the one that actually introduced McNuggets to the world at the San Francisco
Kidding.
at the San Francisco Food Show in 1980. McDonald's and Ray Kroc flew me in to the convention, and they dressed me up in a butler's outfit over the chicken suit, and on a tray they put on this new concoction that they had made called McNuggets, and they put out the sauces, and they just wanted me to walk the entire floor of the convention like a butler, offering these McNuggets to the patrons and to see what their reaction is and that sort of thing. Because at that point, McDonald's really only served burgers, fries, shakes, and the occasional McFish. And so I went around with this, and it got to be a hit. But I was the one to literally
Wow.
introduce the McNuggets to the world.
I had not heard that. That's amazing. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
when you first started showing to Padres games regularly, before you started to explode in popularity, how did the Padres players take to you? Was it something that they were into, or they were annoyed at the distraction at the beginning?
No, no, they weren't annoyed. You know, it was a different era back then, guys. I got to tell you. I mean, the fans had a Jimmy Buffett type of attitude
Yep.
towards everything in sports. Here in San Diego, the fans, the players themselves, we were a last place team. Let's face it, and the players were pretty accepting of it. But in those days, in those early days, you had to look up in the stands to see what the commotion was all about, and it was fans laughing, at my antics. But then eventually, when I went on the field a few years later, by invitation of the Padre front office, and I started goofing with the umpires and the coaches, the players really seemed to enjoy it. And in
Wow.
fact, they started giving me ideas to try while I was on the field. Jokes. The umpires started doing the same thing. The coaches did. The managers did. And then the peanut vendors did. The fans did. Everybody started giving me ideas to try for jokes. So it was almost like a confluence of all these people, being inspired to suggest some comedy bits.
You had the greatest bits of all. When you come out with the big eye test for the umpires, and they loved it, and the umpires were such good sports. Just like my family is from Chicago, all the Cubs fans, they were miserable for years in terms of being competitive. But the most fun game you'd go to, same with San Diego, if they weren't competitive, it's like just happy to have a night out. And you were the perfect relief for comedy and entertainment.
It's interesting. Back in the day, the Padres executives would have surveys of their season ticket holders, what they enjoyed about the season, what they didn't, and the feedback that they got was at the top was we love the chicken present at the games, and they weren't paying me a thing. Don't forget, Padres were paying me nothing. I was just
Incredible.
doing these things free of charge to them. It was the radio station that was paying me my minimum wage, $2 an hour, $3 an hour, what have you. And so I was going there on their behalf, just again, like a walk around billboard, goofing off. But it was pretty acceptable. But yeah, the Padres never paid me until later on, way later on.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Here's something that I had not heard about at all until we started researching you now, that you caused an incident with a Soviet hockey team. So can you tell us what happened there?
Yes. This is about 1977. The Soviet Union had a national hockey team, which was NHL caliber, easily. And they were touring the United States in exhibition games. And they came here to San Diego, where we had a professional team, the World Hockey Association at the time, and they were going to play San Diego. And this team, believe it or not, was also owned by Ray Kroc and the Padres. So during the winter, they had a hockey team that the fans would come out to watch. And hockey was a big deal back here, believe it or not, back in the 70s. And so at this particular game, during warm-ups, I'm goofing off of the Russian team behind the glass. I'm giving them the whammies. I'm giving them my game face, but keep in mind, I'm a red chicken with the letters KGB on my vest. And so after the warm-up period, the team goes back to the locker room and they send word to the front office, we're not playing this game. We're ready to leave. and everybody's going nuts. There was a big powwow. The general managers came down. They tried to find out what the heck is going on. What do you mean you're going to leave? We have a sellout crowd here. What's going on? They said, we're not taking the ice until that idiot in the red chicken suit with the KGB call letters leaves the building. And they thought I was a personal insult to their secret police in Russia. And so they had to be explained that no, wait a minute, it's harmless. KGB is a radio station here in San Diego. That is their ambassador, a chicken, and he comes to all these games. He does all the baseball games, all the sports events. He does concerts. He does parades. This is just one night for him. You just happen to be here. Don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's an actual radio station. So after about 20-minute delay in the game, the Russian coaches decide, okay, we're going to play this game and let it go. And the game proceeded. And I got to tell you something. The Russian players, they were great about things. They saw me goofing and they were laughing about things. Of course, they won that game. I think it was 5-1 that they won. But it was a fun night. And the Russian players were quite accepting of my goofing off.
Quite a badge you can wear that you disrupted that that game.
Yeah.
I think that's a great memory.
Yeah, almost an international incident. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. So early on, Ted Turner tried to lure you away from the Padres to the Braves. I mean, he really did. He loved what you were doing. And I don't have this in front of me, but I want to say he offered you $100,000 at the time, which was years ago. That's, well, more now. And what was that like? Was that true? Tell us about this Ted Turner trying to buy you.
Believe it or not, earlier in the year, he approached the Padres and asked if he could trade for me. If he could make a trade, and he didn't want a Padre player, he wanted me. He was going to send them a backup catcher and just wanted me. And the Padres had to tell him, well, he's not even our employee. He's a radio station guy. Okay? He's a kid out from a radio station. So Ted Turner invited me to Atlanta to come and perform for the Braves fans. And I went there. It was late 78 in the season. And while cavorting around, he cornered me and brought me to his front row seat right behind the dugout and made an offer for me to come and leave San Diego and come and perform for his team. And he was doing things in television. He says, I can't make you privy to what we're doing, but it's going to be big. And you're going to have your own TV show, and you're going to have your own merchandise line, and you're going to be big. You're going to be worldwide. You're going to do travel. You're going to have all kinds of things. He had big visions for what I was going to do. I'm going to even have my own cartoon show. And it was pretty wild. But and he made a magnanimous offer, a tremendous offer.
Yeah.
I had to think about it for a few days. The news broke in San Diego that I was considering it. It was front page news here. People went nuts. And I got to tell you guys, I had to turn down that offer. It's one of my great regrets. But I can't regret, how things turned out. But I really was a fan of Ted Turner, and I wanted to go and work with him. But the outpouring of emotion here in San Diego was so overwhelming. I couldn't do it.
Well, listen, I mean, a big respect to you. What a tough decision to be in. San Diego has Shamu, Tony Gwynn, and you. Like they're not going to let you go. Without expressing their displeasure for it. So that was a tough decision. And I agree. Like Ted Turner, what billionaire loves baseball as much as he? So that must have been a really, really long look inside of yourself to decide.
Yeah, it was, guys. And I got to tell you, it was at that point when Turner made that offer that KGB stepped up and offered me about half as a raise, half of what Turner was offering.
Wow.
And so I decided to take that and stay. And it was it was a very difficult decision, needless to
Sure.
say. Yeah, I'm about at the time maybe 23, 24 years old, and it was something to consider
Yeah.
at the time. But
You
like I
felt-
say, just got to move on and accept things. And I can't complain. I really can't complain. But it
you-
could have been really something with Ted.
But somebody told me that I need to name a baseball mascot. You're the first that comes to mind.
Yep.
There's that Philly fanatic guy, and there's that guy that Jonathan might want to talk about in New York, the Mets guy, whatever, with the big head. I think his head's
Yeah.
too big. But really, the San Diego Chicken. You're the first and final word in baseball mascots, and I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
You really, really are.
Well, yeah. I guess I've been seen as the godfather of feathers, but I've traveled the entire world. I've visited all 50 states.
Right.
I've visited 8 countries. I could have done more if I was up for doing more countries, but it was remarkable just traveling the world and being accepted by other sports fans and making a name for myself
No
as a
kidding.
result. Yeah. Yeah, laughter is the universal language, guys.
Yes.
And boy, I found that. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, you eventually, talking all this thing with the radio station. So you're in the radio station, eventually parted ways, which led to a lawsuit by them. So what led to that? What are your memories of that whole situation?
Yes, they fired me in about the spring of 1979, and essentially, it was all about the costume. The manufacturer of the outfit wanted to sell it outright to the station because they were getting a lot of requests for replicas that he was not doing as a professional courtesy. Station really did not want to buy the rights to the outfit they felt that they had them anyway. They owned it anyway. And so after they declined it several times, I decided to buy it so there would be no proliferation of chicken suits across the country. I wanted to keep it unique. Well, the station got upset about that. They fired me. Then they filed a lawsuit to prevent me from branching out on my own. But instead, the courts ruled in my favor and made me a free agent chicken.
Wow.
And so I've been free as a bird ever since.
Yes, you have not been cooped up.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
But
But it was about 1979 when I was under an injunction not to wear any chicken suit. And so I couldn't even wear the old one that I had laid claim to, that I concocted this outfit and then created a big ceremony before a Padre game
Right.
out of a big styrofoam egg that I would call the Grand Hatching, and to debut my new chicken suit going forward. And so I hatched out of this gigantic egg to a standing ovation of a sellout crowd in San Diego to witness the event. And I've been wearing this particular outfit ever since.
47,000 people sold out Jack Murphy Stadium to witness what was to become known as the Grand Hatching. News media had gathered from all across the country. Even San Diego TV stations interrupted regular programming to televise the Grand Hatching live.
for a brief time, the radio station put someone else in that chicken outfit, right? They did it for a brief time, and this was
Yes.
this was before the days of social media, and the fans still reacted very negatively to the substitute. Did you see that happen?
Oh yeah, yes. I wasn't there in person, but I knew of it. Yes, for a couple of weeks after I was fired, the radio station put in an intern to wear the outfit to go to some various events, and it was not working out to be polite about it.
Right.
And on this on one particular night when he was making his debut as the new KGB chicken at the Padre game, the fans just booed him off the field. I mean, literally. And that was the end of it. The station just wrapped it up and canceled anything else. And uh, their version of the chicken was finished. And like I say, as it turned out, I got to win the rights to my old outfit and this outfit, and I've been cavorting ever since. You know, it's interesting as you look back. The United States, America, has always had physical comedians that they've been drawn to, going back to Chaplin. I basically was taking the spirit of that and bringing it to live audiences in the theater of stadiums and arenas, which was kind of unprecedented in its own right as I reflect back on it myself now.
Were there any players who just had no sense of humor about this, that just said, leave me alone?
Oh, there were very, very few that had zero sense of humor over the years. Uh, by and large, I got to tell you, all the big names of the day were so much for it. And Hall of Fame names, of course, Johnny Bench with the baseball bunch, obviously. But there was Don Sutton, a great pitcher with the Dodgers, again, in the Hall of Fame. And Bert Blyleven, of course, and so many. Rick Dempsey with the Orioles, World Series MVP. There were so many guys, and it was remarkable to see. There's a lot of humor and camaraderie in the clubhouses of these major league teams, and here I am cavorting, and it just naturally progressed itself to the point where the players would engage me to goof with them. Ron Guidry would come to me before a game, and the big star pitcher of the New York Yankees, and he would say to me, "Hey, my wife is watching on TV tonight's game, and she loves you. Can you come out and goof with me for an inning break? And she'll love it." So it's little things like that. Gary Carter was fantastic, the All-Star and Hall of Fame catcher for Montreal and the Mets. A great guy. It was remarkable how a sense of humor can bring out humor out of others as well.
Yeah. And you just mentioned a bunch of Don Sutton and some real Hall of Fame names, but even I can't remember a specific memory with you and Mickey Hatcher, but there must have been, because he was a player on the Dodgers who it wasn't a household name, but boy, did he love to just goof around. He was a practical joker. Did you have any interactions with Hatcher? Do you remember?
No, I didn't. Believe it or not, our paths never really crossed. To my knowledge, that to that
Okay.
extent.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
it
How
just
how about the umpires? I mean, you famously would love to make fun of the umpires,
The
and
umpires were absolutely fantastic. I can't even begin to tell you. The umpires, the referees of the NBA back in the day, they were all great. One of the things, one time, Daryl Garrettson, who was an NBA referee, head of all the officials, he's passed away now, unfortunately. But he told me, he took me aside one time and he says, "We love it when you're at one of our games because it gets the fans off their backs." Okay, they can't be booing and backbiting the referees if they're laughing at the chicken. So it
it's
was an interesting dynamic that would envelope the entire stadium or arena, with humor.
yeah,
And it brought levity to the evening. And in a way, guys, I was just reminding everybody with the officials that this is just a game. It's just a game, and guess what? They're playing another one tomorrow.
yeah.
So yeah, so enjoy it for its entertainment value. And I know, when it gets down to the nitty gritty, everybody brings their game face and goes to win. That's understandable. But there's also a time to laugh and relax. And it's again, sports is an entertainment vehicle for the world, And perhaps I'm just reminding everybody of that.
You were the ultimate icebreaker for the umpires and everybody.
I want to ask about the baseball bunch. You mentioned a minute ago. Such a great show. I loved it as a kid. Never missed it. It starred you, Johnny Bench, Tommy Lasorda, as many great guest players. So I saw an interview where Johnny Bench credits you for much of the show's success. So how did that all come about for you and your memories of making that show?
Oh, I got to tell you, Johnny was a gem. Oh, that show would not have worked without Johnny. He was so great with the kids and the cast, and the fun that he brought to the show. It was remarkable. It started out, believe it or not, without me. When they shot the pilot, it was up in Los Angeles, and they shot the pilot one day, and I was not involved. And it was called, the Baseball Bunch with Johnny Bench. And the producers called me after that pilot right away, and they said, Ted, can you come up to LA and shoot this with us? We're going to try to shoot it again tomorrow with you. We've already got the script, but it's just, the show is just too dry for the kids. This is going to be a Saturday morning show during baseball season for kids to watch and learn how to play baseball. And so I went up there the next morning. I had the day open, went up there, and they just simply said, here's a script, fit yourself in improvisationally wherever you think it works for you. And so I just goofed off here and there around their original script, and they loved it. They had the pilot, and the pilot sold, and then as a result, I became a permanent member of the cast with the Baseball Bunch. So it was Johnny and me co-hosting a different player every week who would talk about his position on the field and give tips to baseball. And it was so, that show won 3 Emmy Awards in 5 years. We were so proud. And so it won 3 Emmy Awards, and it attracted the attention of other top tier players who wanted to be on the show to literally talk about their positions. Yeah, in my opinion, Johnny was so good. For those who never saw his talents in person, he was so great. If he were playing today, he'd be the highest paid, and they'd probably have to give him a piece of the team.
I have to ask this because you did the Baseball Bunch with him. There are videos on YouTube that you could see where Tommy Lasorda has it out with the Philly Fanatic. He had Yuppie, who was the Montreal Expos mascot, actually thrown out of a game. So I read that there was something that he did something with you. So I have to hear that story.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's legendary. Tommy really bled Dodger Blue. When he talked about it, he meant it, guys. Okay? But I had an incident with Tommy. It was after a game, not in public view necessarily, but it was here in San Diego, about 1982, I'd say. Padres were just coming to life. They were no longer a last place team. And the Padres were playing the Dodgers, and there was a big bang play at home plate in the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Padres scored, safe. The place goes nuts. And of course, Tommy took it bitterly. Well, after the game, as a prelude to that, earlier of that game, I did a bit on the field with a Dodger hat and a Padre hat, where I did the Mexican hat dance around both hats, and then stomped on the Dodger hat. Okay, and the fans, of course, are going nuts. Well, I still remember during that inning break, Dusty Baker trotting out the left field and yelling over to me. He says, Teddy, I don't think Tommy liked that joke. Okay. And I just waved it off like, oh, come on. Okay. Don't be serious. But he was laughing about it. It's okay. Well, after that game, that bang play at the plate, I'm underneath the grandstands at San Diego Stadium, going home, Jack Murphy Stadium, as we called it. And I'm going home, and by happenstance, you guys, while I'm going through the bowels of the stadium with the media present, waiting for the post-game interviews out there in the hallway, outside the clubhouse, who do I encounter by happenstance coming out with a plate of lasagna on mounted, on a plate for his post-game meal? But who do I encounter? Boom, on the spot, face to face, out of the blue. What are the odds? Tommy Lasorda. And his eyes bugged out. And he suddenly, with his plate and cheeks full of pasta, just backed me up against the cinder block walls in front of the standing media. And he starts screaming a Dodger blue streak at me. And he says, "You want to step on a Dodger hat? You come into my office right now and step on my Dodger hat, and I'll kill you. I swear. Don't you ever do that again." Now, I'm worried. I'm thinking this guy is like, he's blown a gasket. And I'm concerned, not for me, for him, because his cheeks were full of pasta. And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to swallow that stuff and he's going to choke right on the spot. And oh my gosh, I was literally trembling for his safety.
Wow.
And because I could see the headlines the next day. Chicken chokes Lasorda, but it didn't happen. He finally simmered down. The press was really quiet. They're trying to look away. There's about a dozen of them there, and they try to turn away like they're not seeing it or hearing it. But eventually, Lasorda just went right back into his office, and I was able to get out intact. I had all kinds of marinara spittle all over my
my gosh.
Yeah, but that's okay. Tommy was safe, and I got out okay. And but like I say, it would have made the headlines, but I probably would have been elected governor of California afterwards.
Yeah, no kidding. He bled the blue.
Dodger players would tell me privately, "Oh, he said, oh, don't know, Tommy is really that way. He is very much a guardian of the Dodger blue." And
Wow.
And to his credit, I think Tommy was a great ambassador for baseball. Now, when we did the baseball bunch, he never was on the set with us. He did all his stuff in a studio in Los Angeles as the baseball wizard, the dugout wizard. And we shot all our action scenes and such in Arizona at the time. So we never crossed paths for the show.
Right. Eventually, you went on to do some appearances at other venues, other teams, and stuff like that. Not just Jack Murphy, not just in San Diego. Did the Padres give you any grief about that?
No, not at all. Not at all. I started getting all kinds of offers to go nationwide. And it was pretty exciting to me. It was pretty exciting. And as I went to all these venues, major league and minor league, in all sports, it was big box office for these teams. Yeah. It really was, guys. I was selling out stadiums. And it was pretty, I got to say, very, very exciting to see all these people come out, especially people who'd never been to a sports event before or like I say, a ball game. They just wanted to come and see this goofy guy in a chicken suit, having fun. And they would bring the families, and you could hear the shrill of laughter from the kids. It's so much fun. It really was. And, just goofing for a laugh and knowing that you've got 2 minutes out on the diamond to go and make an entire stadium laugh. And when you leave that field, they better be laughing. And so I try to time all my gags and routines so that the punchline would come with a big laugh, and I could exit and then do it again the next inning, and the next inning, and the next inning. And it got to be a show, like I say, and quite a bit of fun. But it got to be for the teams, big box office. Yep. And it was pretty exciting stuff.
With the shorter attention span as a child, you were the perfect bridge to the next bit of action in the game. And as adults, baseball turns us all into kids. It brings the children out in us. So it's just perfect. Just perfect.
To me, baseball's always had the best sense of humor of all the sports.
Yeah.
It's played during a leisure time of year. There's a little time between innings. And the game was built for its camaraderie and such. It's a thinking man's game, but it really personifies America overall because of it also incorporates its sense of humor. the stories in baseball, the humorous stories in baseball, they go on infinitely, unbelievable. And so, and it's created characters in the
Oh,
game
yeah.
itself, let
Yeah.
alone, a mascot in the grandstand.
Well, speaking of characters, baseball characters, you know, Pete Rose has been all over the news recently because of the reinstatement to baseball. You are forever linked to Rose because of his wearing your costume at Wrestlemania. So I wonder what was Rose like as a person with you, and how did that whole thing come about? How did that whole Wrestlemania thing come about?
He was a good guy. Pete was a very good guy. I'm heartened. I have mixed feelings about him going to the Hall of Fame. I'm heartened that he's finally accepted.
Mhm.
I'm upset that it's taken this long. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm of the belief you shake hands with people when they're among us, you know, and not when they're gone. So,
Yeah.
still, I'm glad Pete's going to get his due. But with WrestleMania, yes, I was invited to be a part of the show. And Pete was having, in his series of other WrestleManias, he was having, shall we say, a tiff with Kane, the big 7-foot wrestler, and so how it transpired. Pete wanted to get after one of the WrestleMania matches. He got into you might say a bit of a scuffle with Kane, and then had to exit the ring. But then came back about a match or two later with my costume on, because I was there as a guest as well, cavorting around, and he had literally stolen my outfit, popped it on, and wanted to surprise Kane in the ring for his big match that he was going to have, and then went head to head with him. Well, Kane rips off the head when he suspects, hey, this isn't the real chicken. He rips off the head. It's Pete Rose. The audience is going nuts. So then he grapples with Rose, picks him up, and pile drives him into the canvas, you know. And then Pete had to be, I guess, pulled out of the ring, half dazed from the beatdown. So, but the audience went nuts. But the whole idea was Pete was going to surprise and get some free slugs in on Kane, you know, as the chicken, and in my disguise, But it went off very, very well.
Reward somebody, show your appreciation while he's here.
Yeah.
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 So let me ask you about this. You were sued by the creators of Barney,
Yeah.
the purple
Yeah.
dinosaur, about an incident. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell us about this. The whole thing seemed like a Saturday Night Live sketch. What
Oh
happened
yes.
there? What happened there?
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned SNL. I remember seeing an SNL sketch where Charles Barkley was going one-on-one against Barney in a sketch.
Uh-huh.
And of course, he's dunking on him, running over him, elbowing him out,
Hmm.
just trash talking him. It was a funny sketch.
Yeah.
And so I figured, I wonder if I can incorporate Barney into my show somehow. Thought about it, and I said, I know what I'll do. I'll have a dance off against Barney coming out and confronting me in the middle of a game. And we'll have a dance off, and then we'll go head to head to see who dances best. Because in Barney, he's dancing around the studio there on his show quite a bit. I love you, you love me, that sort of thing. And so I would bring him up, and then we would have literally a dance off right there when he surprises everybody by breakdancing expertly in front of me and the entire stadium. And I'm humiliated that he beat my dancing. So I bow to him and I kiss his feet and I beg for forgiveness. But Barney in my show cops an attitude and he throws me to the ground instead and he skips away. Well, I chase after him, I tackle him, and I pin him like in professional wrestling. And I get up as the victor, and then I escort him off the field and dump him over the railing into the dugout. Well, the fans went nuts. Barney's people did not care for it. So they sent a legal letter telling me, stop this right now. It's not allowed. But I had to explain to them, wait a minute, it's satire. It's protected speech under the First Amendment. It's freedom of expression. I can do this. It's a joke. We're just kidding here. It's not for real. But they didn't want to hear anything about this. So they took me to court to try and prevent me from doing that gag. And they wanted basically everything that I owned, in court. But the courts ruled in my favor, and they said, no, this is freedom of speech. It's satire. It is allowed. Okay, and the courts unanimously voted in my favor to continue the thing, and they made Barney pay for all my legal fees as a result, because they told Barney, now you know better. This is a joke. You can't let it go on Saturday Night Live and do nothing, but then the chicken does a bit and you go after him. No, it doesn't work that way.
You've had your costume sent to Cooperstown. You've had your own action figure, your own baseball card. You've been to the White House. You ever stop to think how surreal it all is that your career has gone from what was supposed to be a $2 temporary gig, $2 an hour temporary gig, to just this worldwide phenomenon?
Guys, I can tell you, if there's an only in America story, this is it. I'm telling you. I mean, if you can become a success in a chicken suit, what's holding anybody else back? From doing anything that they want to do, anything that's good and positive and adds a good spirit. So you keep your sights positive, uplifting, and good things happen. I've come to find good things happen. If you mean well, you do well. And it, I just went for the ride. Believe me, guys, when I started off at $2 an hour, I didn't think I would be traveling around the world putting on shows. I didn't think that baseball card companies would come to me and say, we want to make a baseball card of you and put it in the players set with them, which was unprecedented, unheard of back then. A fan actually being in a card set with Reggie Jackson and all these other players. Holy smokes.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you still follow baseball today? And are there any mascots out there that you think are doing a good job?
Oh, I follow baseball quite a bit. I got to tell you, my personal favorite mascot is from the University of Florida, Albert the Alligator. That suit is so goofy looking. It makes me laugh every time. He had me there as a fan for life. I'm telling you. But that suit, the guy can lip sync the national anthem with that snout. I'm very jealous. But that outfit with that protruding tail, just walking around, I think it gets me every time. I can't help it.
So you've been doing this for 6 decades now. Are there any plans for you to write a memoir, or are you too chicken?
Yeah, I've thought about it for a long time, and I might finally have to sit down. But I just wonder if my memories, of course, are of yesteryear, and I don't know how well that would sit with today's public. It's nice to reminisce, and I've got great stories to tell, but I don't know if it would be able to connect with today's audiences that buys books.
Baseball is a game filled with historians.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that even today's youngsters wouldn't want to know about your career and the past. I mean, everybody loves to look back in this sport. So I don't mean to disagree with you, but I'd love to see you. I'd be one of the first to read your memoir for sure.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate that, and I haven't ruled it out, and that inspires me. I got to tell you, just as a side note, sometimes when I'm having dinner with my wife, I'll give a little anecdote or a little story on the side, and she'd put down her fork And she says, when are you going to write this book? Oh, for heaven's sakes, when are you going to do this book? These are great stories. You're just leaving on the
Yes,
table.
Good
You
for
know,
her.
so you've
I,
got
ha-
some merit there. Yes.
I have to tell you, I am a former literary agent, and that's something that I would have snapped up right away. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So, last year marked your 50th year of being the chicken. You,
Yes.
you are what made the character work, your personality. But do you ever think about a time down the line where the chicken continues with someone else? Have you thought that maybe I want to see this character go on?
There's a possibility of that, guys. I don't know of anyone, but as the day comes that I hang up the feathers for good, perhaps out there there'll be a team or a media company that says, you know, we should take that over and maybe take it to the next level, that it could even be for more so. And so there's always a possibility of that. Um, who knows what the future holds? But yeah, there is merit in that, and so yeah, just hope for the best in that regard.
What's
Just
the website? How can people follow the website?
simply, it's san diego chicken.com.
Fantastic. We want to thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on. It was such a pleasure. It's such a treat for us. We both grew up as huge fans, still fans, and it was like a little kid again getting to speak with you.
Yeah. And I don't thank you just for coming to give us
Yes,
your time today. I thank you for a lifetime of
yes,
entertainment. It's such an honor.
yeah.
Thank you, fellas. I
Yeah.
appreciate the. I'm honored by your good thoughts. That means a lot. The way I look at it, people ask me, "Are you going to be in the Hall of Fame one day?" I'm not officially inducted in the Hall of Fame, although they have me under a glass exhibit there full time for people to see. But I look at it this way: plaques are nice, plaudits are better. And if you live in people's hearts, you're in your own Hall of Fame right there. And so I appreciate the kind
Well,
words.
well, you should
It's
be.
amazing what humor can do.
Yes. Well, again, this has been Pop Culture Retro. I'm Jonathan Rosen with Moosie Drier. And again, a very special thanks to Ted Giannoulas, the San Diego Chicken. And please like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Culture Retro, where no one was hurt during the making of this podcast. Listening to this podcast just makes you really cool.